My name is Sarah King. I have been sharing with y'all the past couple of days about something called healing arts, and we're here today to try it out. I am broadcasting again from two devices, so I have Facebook, I have Instagram. Hello, wherever I find you today, I'm glad you're here. If you're watching the replay, awesome. So glad you could see it. So go ahead and get something to write with and some paper today. I'm going to give you a few practices that you can try out healing arts for yourself. So you can do these now if you have the supplies. If you want to just take notes mentally and try them later, that is also fine, of course. But I'm going to demonstrate some simple ways that you could engage healing arts. So what I shared yesterday about healing arts is that it is simple arts practices or creative practices that allow you to engage with the healing within the creative process. So it's not necessarily about what your art looks like. It's not about what ends up on the page. It is much more about the process of doing it. So even if you are in the middle of a meeting with work, if you can be doodling on the corner, you can even practice a little moment of well-being. Maybe you are trying not to react to something that somebody said. Maybe you just need to take a beat, okay? Engaging your hands by, painting, art, drawing, any of that is great. Engaging your body, for those of you that do yoga, you've probably already experienced this, how moving your body, moving your hands can be another way to de-stress, right? Hey Amanda, hey Anton. So glad you all are here today. So I have some paper in front of me and I have a pen, and you want to grab that if you want to do this with me. I do want to explain what I have down here. So several years ago, I picked up journaling again, but in a different way from when I was a kid. When I was a kid, of course, I had like a diary, right? Don't we all? Today I did this, da 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 da. And I really never enjoyed just writing because honestly, I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I oftentimes want my written words to make sense. I want them to be a story that ties up with a bow. And later in life, when I was going through a hard season, and my mentor, my counselor said, "Why don't you try journaling?" I was like, "Oh, that sounds like a lot of pressure. It sounds like I'm going to, need it to be a good story. It's going to need to make sense." And she's like, "Hey, who's grading this?" But myself, apparently at the time. And then also, um, she said, "Well, wait a minute. Aren't you an artist? Aren't you artistic? Why don't you draw in your journal?" Well, that was mind-blowing to me because I had never even considered it. So it turns out that art journaling is a thing. So if you already knew that, you're ahead of me. At that time, I did not know that that was a thing. It's called art journaling. You can search that hashtag on all the socials, get some really great ideas that way. Or you can search creative journaling, that hashtag as well. Follow those. You'll get great ideas all the time. So shout out to those of you that A, knew what it was or already do it. Amazing. So when I realized that I could combine art in my journal, that kind of opened up a door for me of, oh, maybe this could be something that's actually relaxing for me rather than me feeling like I need to write a novel. Hey y'all, thanks for coming. So as I explained, this is what I kind of morphed art journaling into. I combined it with something else called bullet journaling, if you've heard of that, and it's kind of like a planner on steroids, like really, really into the planning. So I figured out that the prompts that I was doing were mostly fitting into three categories. So for me, hey Nina, for me, I split up my journals into three parts. Of course, this is completely optional. But for me, I started realizing that the pattern I was following, some of the journal activities I was doing had a lot more about future vision. So that's the dream section for me. And then we have the believe section, which is more about heart processing and processing life's up and downs. And then I have the do section, which is the practical, which, if for those of you that know what bullet journaling is, I get ideas from looking at bullet journaling for that. And really just make lists and practical things like shopping lists, packing lists for me. That's the section I use to plan when I am hosting workshops. What are we doing to do my curriculum design? I'm putting Post-its in there. It is the practical section. So for me, that's how I do it. Obviously, I don't care if you split yours up into sections or not. As long as if this can be a tool, then amazing. So today I have a couple ideas to share that are very simple. If you are artistic, like Amanda, I know you already are, so you can take this and run with it, as I have seen you do. But as far as I want to make these accessible to everybody, so I'm going to use pen, I'm going to use pencil, and I have a few ideas. So one, something that I do is if I have a word in mind, sometimes like people when they engage maybe meditation or contemplative practices, they find that if they focus on one word, sometimes it kind of brings them back. Okay. For some people, that might be referred to as like a sacred word or something like that. So if you want to bring to mind a word in your mind, if you have a word that's already kind of been placed in you, great. If not, maybe you want to engage some meditation first or something like that, and just see right now. Maybe it's the answer to the question of what do you want? Okay, what do you want? So when you have that word, you can pick any word. Let me give you some examples here of when I've done this. So you write the word really, really big, and then trace around it any way you want. This does two things. One, it engages your hands. It takes a while, and that can just be meditative in itself, relaxing in itself. Okay, so I started with dream, and then I just made circles, different colors if you want. You can use just a pen to do this. You can do this in the middle of your work meeting. It is okay in a corner of your paper. Okay, so here's one idea. So I invite you, if you have your pen and paper, think of one word or let one word come to mind. You could do that. You could also, let's see, I think I have one in here. Yeah, here we go. Here's another one where I just used a Sharpie. It says B if you can read it. And then I just made little pieces. And there was no rhyme or reason behind the pieces or behind the lines. It's whatever way you would like to do it. Kind of let your pencil or your marker lead you with that. So I don't know if y'all can hear. I have some music for us, but let's take a second. Bring a word to your mind. It can also be, might I add, if a symbol. Maybe it's a symbol that's arisen in your mind or a symbol that you would like to focus on. If you know how to draw that symbol, you could draw the symbol and go around it. Another idea, if I can find the page where I did this, yeah, was if you take a walk in nature and you grab a leaf or something from nature, you can glue it down and then do the same thing around it. Just again, as a way to be with nature, a way to enjoy your walk, is kind of looking for those things. So it's a two-part. That's a moving your body and a physically moving your hands later as you're doing it. Well, I can't find my leaf picture right now, but if I find it later, I will show y'all. So you can do this. I'm going to do it with a marker just so you can see a little better. I have some markers here as well. Sometimes I get asked about supplies too. Today I'm using nothing fancy. I'm using markers I got from the dollar store, which who knew has a great little craft section. If you've seen it, let me know. It is amazing. And then just, yeah, some basic markers. You can do this with any type. Doesn't matter. So maybe it's a picture that has come to your mind, or maybe it's a word. For me, I've really been doing a lot of grounding lately where I just sit outside and put my feet on the ground and kind of be stable because my life feels like it's very swirling all around me right now. So for me, actually, I'm going to draw a tree, a very rough tree here. All right, so here's my tree. And then I'll use the different colors as we go to go around it. So this is going to be representative of that time that I have had. Another, of course, good idea for this is take your notebook, your paper with you outside. I would have done that tonight, but I thought it was a little risky with my internet connection outside. I didn't want to lose y'all. So you can make laps, you can make polka dots, whatever. Hopefully you can see a little bit of my paper. For those of you on Facebook, it's cut off a little, so I can just kind of show you periodically. In real life, I would take longer to do this. So another idea for these is, today is more of a teaser of a sample for you all. Just so you, in case you're not doing it with me, you don't have to sit here and watch me do it. But another idea for you is, even if you don't have time to finish the whole page, just start it on Monday and see how far you get by Friday. 2 minutes, or just keep it on your desk while you're working. And anytime, like I took my journal with me when I was waiting at the car shop the other day. You know, I was getting something done on my car. I'm probably the only adult patron they saw who brings in markers with them. But I really think the other people in there were jealous. I do. I should have brought enough to share. So again, just the physical act of doing this, no matter how messy it feels, don't put too much pressure on yourself to have to make it look awesome. That's not the point. Okay? We talked about last night, is not the point. It is simply the motion that can be relaxing. Y'all, as I do this, if you have any questions, let me know as well. Feel free to put them in. All right, update. Here we are. So again, you can use a symbol, a word, go around it. So this is idea number 1 for you. I'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Feel free to keep doodling while I explain the next one. So, and by the way, sometimes I leave my covers. This is how these come. On my website, I have these available for you if you want a starter kit. It is the Vision Journaling Starter Kit. So these are the ones that I have for that, and then it comes with a whole little kit of supplies. Sometimes I leave them like this. Sometimes I decorate the covers. So I have, you can use like maps or old magazines to decorate your cover. This one I painted on. This is actually, if anybody can identify this, it, it is, if you grew up swimming, you may know this view, okay? It's looking, the background is looking at the bottom of the pool when you're swimming. There's a black line down the middle of the pool. So this was actually, when I got my healing arts certification, they had us do a prompt about where did you feel safe as a kid, and make an art something, you know, interpretation of that. And one of the places I felt most safe was in the pool. Okay, so anyways, next prompt. We have another concept I wanted to share with you. You know, people talk about mindfulness, of course, contemplative practices, meditation, all of that. Um, if you, like me, have a little bit of trouble sitting still, all of these practices can kind of be a morph of a way into meditation. So one book that I found is a good resource is this one, Praying in Color by Sybil Macbeth. This book, the next prompt I have, it was inspired by this book, okay? So what she suggests is, instead of worrying about the words you're saying, if you are a spiritual person and you pray for people or you pray for yourself, um, instead of worrying about the words you're saying, sometimes you may not even know what to say. Or maybe you don't identify yourself as a spiritual person, or you don't have a religious practice. That's fine. Bringing to mind your hopes and your intentions for yourself and for others can be a way to spend time with them without necessarily even being there in person, right? just kind of sending good vibes out to them. So if you have something or someone on your mind, she suggests one way to handle that is to doodle, okay? So is to write the word or the name of the person. Maybe it's a topic, maybe it's something that's stressing you out. And as a way of physical symbol of release and also your intentions for that thing, your hopes for that person, you can doodle around it. So these are just some of her pictures. I have done this as well and do it sometimes in little pieces. Sometimes I fill up a whole page. It depends on the day. Let me find one for y'all. Here we go. So sometimes it's scribbles like this. It might be a combination of words or it might just be doodles. Here's another one. So the time that it takes to sit there and be doodling, that's time that you're spending with that person, with that thing. It might be a release for you to put it out on paper versus to have it swirling in your head, okay? So this is another idea. If you want to practice that today, feel free. Think of something that is on your mind, writing it out, letting it go on the page. It can be shapes, it can be words around it, anything. So here I'm starting it kind of on the same page that I was working on with a symbol representing what's been on my heart lately. One of the several things I'm trying to figure out right now. So that is the second practice. I have one more to share with you today. Another way that you can kind of spice up, you know, sometimes when I look at a blank page, I get intimidated. I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to say, especially if it's early in the morning. I love Julia Cameron's idea of morning pages, and sometimes I'm like, I can't even form words right now in the morning. So sometimes, just to get started, I suggest scribbling on your page. Okay? Scribbling. And then you can do two things with that. One idea is to scribble and then make it into a picture if you really feel like coloring that day. This is an example. I scribbled, I think I found some waves, kind of some land. I'm not really sure what's happening over here, but you know, I did my best. The process was fun, right? And that's what matters. The other idea with the scribble is to use it as a line to write on, because it just kind of changes it up. That way you're not only always writing from left to right. This is your journal, this is your paper, you do what you want. So this is an example of that. So I drew the scribbles, and then you just kind of turn the book as you are writing in it. So that is the third one I have for you today. You can scribble, you can make a spiral, whatever works for you. One idea is to do it kind of lightly in pencil, and then you use pen to write your words, and then you can barely even see the line, and it just kind of looks neat as your words are all over the page. Okay, so the three we have for you today, it was one word and focusing on that. Mindful doodling is what I call the next one. The doodles of your concerns or people that you want to send good vibes to, including yourself. And three would be the scribbles. Let me know if any questions came up for you as you do these. If you give them a try, let me know how it goes. Send me a message. I also wanted to share that I have a free resource for y'all. So I gave you some ideas today, but I also have, let me see if I find, here it is. I have a printout of these. These are journal prompts that I put in the journals when I send journals, but I have a free printout of this as well that you can download on my website. This is available. It is over 30 different journal prompts. Additionally, there's another free resource on there that is a reflection guide. So it's a guided journaling experience to use really when you're in transition and you're reflecting on your past season and thinking about what you want in your current season. So if that's applicable to you, I invite you to download that for free as well on my website. So I'll put the link in the chat here in just a second. Like I said, let me know if anything comes up for y'all while you're experimenting with this. If you have any questions, I can help with.